What's up, my dudes? Today I wanted to talk about stuff that is a bit different from the content I usually upload. It's something that applies to basically all online shooters and also something that is not nearly talked about enough, in my opinion. But it can really influence your game, and it does for everyone. Today I want to address the gaming mindset, and I want to address two things here. For one, I want to talk about toxicity and why it's so bad for you and for your team and why it makes you lose games. And then I want to talk about the winner's mentality, the mindset you should be having in order to get better at the game and also have more fun at the game. I'm also going to be trying to let a clip play at the same time, and I hope that works, but anyway, enjoy. So, firstly, when talking about toxicity, you really have to understand that toxicity actively hurts you and your team. Toxicity comes in the form of making excuses to the enemy team while your team is losing, so something like, oh my god, I can't believe my team is so bad, I have to carry them all by myself, or just by plain flaming your teammates. You are mostly getting toxic when playing with randoms because, of course, if you have a set team of friends or people you know, you won't blame them as much as the random bots you're always playing with, of course. But you really have to understand that you don't need to solo queue. If you don't like to lose, as many people do, the standoff community in general is pretty toxic. You should not be solo queuing. Solo queuing is when you don't have a set team and just play with randoms. Because, of course, these randoms might have a lower skill level than you, but by pointing that out and by shit-talking these random teammates, you're just going to deny any chance your team might have had in the first place to win the game. Because by being toxic, it should be really obvious that your teammates won't magically be playing better. It's actually the opposite. Because if you're being toxic, your teammates might also get toxic and frustrated, and obviously you should have experienced that yourself in the past, that if someone is toxic at you, you're getting toxic yourself. And this really destroys any kind of team synergy that your team might have had. There's no real team synergy between you and randoms mostly in the first place, but if you don't work with what you got in your team and if you screw it up right away, you completely deny any team synergy, which is exactly what you normally need to win a round. Also, toxicity makes yourself underperform because you focus more on your frustration than on the game itself, and if you're dying a lot and getting frustrated, it's likely that you will get even more aggressive and play even more aggressively, and in consequence die more often, and you will again blame that on your team, so it's basically an endless cycle. And I know it's hard, but instead of flaming, just be nice to your teammates, even if they aren't as good as you are. If your teammate doesn't win the final 1v1 in a round, say nice try instead of calling him a bot and tell him what he could improve next time, because that's really what this game is about. This game is a team game. Don't forget it. It's a team game, and you need every teammate to be able to perform the best way he possibly can, and you are really denying that by shit-talking them. Another thing related to this is kicking, and I just want to say right away that you should only kick a teammate if A, he's a hacker. Obviously, that's your responsibility as a good and fair player. Kick every hacker on your team. And secondly, if your teammate actively harms your team, so if he maybe calls out your position in the all chat or something, but that's something that never happened to me before, and there's no circumstance other than these two that justifies kicking a teammate. Every person has an impact on the game and on every round, And just kicking the bottom fragger just because you want to get some more points is straight up pathetic. Stats do not show the skill level or the impact that people have on a round. If your entry fragger gets one kill when you push aside and your team in general is able to leverage that even though he dies immediately after, then he had more impact on the round than someone lurking on the other side of the map and getting two rotating CTs. So if the entry fragger gets one kill and the lurker gets two other kills, the entry fragger still had more impact on the round, but that obviously won't show in the stats because one, he got less kills, and two, he died probably. So you really have to stop judging people by their stats. And even if the player isn't particularly good, if he maybe fucks up a spray while you spectate him or something, and maybe he's not able to clutch the final 1v1 again, in the future you might still be able to trade kill him. So having a fifth teammate on your team won't hurt you. And kicking someone for points, as I already mentioned, is bullshit because everyone influences the game and everyone deserves their fair share regarding the points. So now I want to talk about the winner's mentality, the mentality that you should have when you're playing the game. And in general, you should not be playing to win the particular round or even the particular game. Your goal should always be to improve. So now I'm coming over to the winner's mentality, the mentality and the mindset that you should have when you're playing the game in general. And this mindset can basically be summed up by don't play to win the particular round or the particular game, play in order to improve as an individual and also as a team. And the major aspect of improving is recognizing your own mistakes and dealing with them. Something that a lot of people do wrong, and I think actually most of the people, is the imagination that you are the best in your team and in your round. And that's something that applies to everyone, except for some people who think they're absolute bots. Shout out to Mr. Cod. When I'm playing a game, I like to think that I have the best game sense in the lobby, but I know in the back of my head that there will always be this one Russian kid that will straight up out-aim me, even if I played a better position or something like that. So I know I, first of all, am not perfect, and secondly, I still have to work in order to just keep my own weaknesses at a minimum and work to gain and work to be able to beat people that can exploit those weaknesses I might have. If you're being toxic or being afraid to lose, you won't notice your own mistakes. And as we all know, even though no one likes to hear that, mistakes are the best way to learn. And winning a game for a few points is obviously nice, but sometimes losing a game will actually help you more in the long run. 10-0ing some gold 3 players will feel nice if you drop 25 kills and 5 deaths or something, but when you lose closely against a master and elite stack, then that will actually be more helpful to you on the journey to Master, Elite, or Legend, or whatever your goal is. Maybe it's Ranger, maybe it's Phoenix, maybe you want to get out of Bronze, it doesn't matter. One quick tip I can also give you in that context is at the beginning of a round or during the warm-up time, you should not check the enemy stats. You should not go through the list and check everyone's KD and rank, because this will mostly just affect the way you play. If you see they are gold players or Phoenix players, or just some players way below your own rank, you might get too aggressive when trying to get some easy frags. And when you see they have a higher rank than you have, then that might lead to you playing way too passive and playing too afraid of dying. And in general, you should always play like you play against someone who has the same skill as you. So checking the enemy stats does not make sense at all. And finally, you should always try new stuff and test your limits even against good players. You try to create and deal with new situations, try new approaches to a problem that you could not solve so far and that seems unsolvable, instead of dodging it completely. So if you get picked by a guy pushing garden every round, try to deal with that, because even though this game is dynamic and every round has another story, there are some things that you might face in the future again. So you have to develop counters against things you experience and problems you fail to solve. And then the last thing and the most important thing of all, play for fun, have fun. Don't play super passively because you're afraid to die and screw up your stats. Your stats don't matter, obviously, because you will obviously improve in the long run if you push your limits and become better and better. And in general, having fun denies toxicity, and knowing that you can't always win is a key part of really enjoying the game. And if you enjoy a game, then your teammates might too. I hope this kind of clears up some things. I know it's really hard sometimes not to get toxic, but I managed to learn to not get salty too much anymore, and everyone can do that. Everyone can develop a better attitude towards the game and towards its players, and it will definitely help you when playing the game to have a good mindset. Anyway, hope this helped. Peace out.